Did West Virginia just make another three? West Virginia rains down threes on poor Little Rock in a game they had never had a chance in. Absolute destruction from beginning to end.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia. Appreciate you guys so much for joining in here as we dive into the West Virginia basketball team and their accomplishments today in a pretty big win, even though against a team that was most definitely inferior in Little Rock. Still, wins are wins are wins, and this team is still trying to work the kinks out, in this earlier season games, man. We need them to do that. It's been rough at times this season, especially shooting the ball, sometimes on offense. But today was neither of those things. And obviously, against a really depleted Little Rock team that, according to their coach, was out at least multiple starters, potentially 3 or 4 starters, which sounds almost impossible to be that injured, but they are apparently. And it looked like it at times. So, the West Virginia Mountaineers didn't really have much of a challenge today, but, you'll take them where you can get them. This is a 90-58 win. So on this episode of Locked On West Virginia, and we appreciate you all for being in here, going to be brought to you by Game Time. Guys, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Thanks for making us your first listen as well. Let's dive into the show. Obviously, Trace and Eaglestaff said something in the game after the game that really caught my attention. Not in a great way. I'll just be honest with you. I'm really hesitant to cover it. But we're going to talk about it because I think it needs to be covered. And then obviously the Splash Brothers, we saw something today that we hadn't seen yet out of this team. And that's Trey Eaglestaff and Honor Huff be on in the same game where they just went totally off from three. Trey Eaglestaff, 24 minutes, 23 points, 8 of 14 from the floor, 5 of 10 from three, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 of 3 rebound, 1 assist, just all over the stat sheet in a game where he was shot 10 threes, 5 of 10 from three. It's almost like he finally quit giving a crap what other people thought and started chucking some threes up there, man. We needed him to do that. We need him to continue to do that. We don't care, Trey. If you watch this show, I don't know if you watch, but if you see this, we don't care, man. We want you to do this. We do. We're behind you. We don't care if you miss a couple shots here and there. Look what Honor does. Just keep shooting. We know you can make the shots. Loosen up and shoot the shots. Nobody's judging you based off every shot. Like at the end of the day, this team is only going to be as good as you are. Without you, we're very limited. You were brought in to be a double-digit scorer. And if you can't be that, then this team is probably not going to reach its potential, or somebody else is going to have to step up in your stead. And I think you're capable of doing more. Clearly you played well on defense at times, but it's definitely not what we thought we were going to get on offense. And I need this not to offend you. I'm going to I guess I'm going to switch topics here and talk about the second topic first. I probably should have started with it, but I didn't want to label the show what he said post game. I didn't want to do that. It didn't feel right. But here's the thing. If you listen to Trey Eaglestaff, they interviewed him after the game, and he said something that really caught my attention anyways. Amanda Mazey was very forward and asked him, hey, you've got some confidence back? And he didn't sound confident at all when he replied. He said, yeah, kind of. He didn't say kind of, but that's the vibe I got from him. And then he said, I need to stop caring what other people think. I was surprised he said this publicly a little bit. But it's, he said, I need to stop caring what other people think so much and just be myself, basically. Something along those lines, basically admitting that he's letting the outside comments get to him. I was very surprised to hear him openly talk about this, but I'm glad he did. not every player is oblivious to it, whether they're getting paid or not. It's a lot of pressure to get for a guy like him who grew up on an Indian reservation. I think he did. Maybe he didn't grow up on a reservation. I don't want to misquote that, but I know he's obviously got an Indian in him, and it was raised, in a different part of the world than us, and came up a lot different than us, obviously in the Dakotas. So, to obviously moving to West Virginia, not a big deal, but the big stage that West Virginia provides is a big deal. And it's clearly bothered him at times this year. And I just want Trey to know, just because we get upset when you don't play well doesn't mean we don't like you or care about you. We want the best for you. But, we just want to win. And the thing is we probably not going to beat some of the better teams in the league unless you're really kind of on for some of those games. So we really need Trey Eaglestaff to step up. It's not that, some people are mean on there online. They really are. Trust me, I know. People are mean. They will do things that you couldn't think possible. I've seen some things said about Trey Eaglestaff that are really bad. I saw somebody put, they believe he should off himself, and like just different things. People are mean, but at the end of the day, I hope he's not reading that stuff. I hope that he is being lifted up and edified by his teammates, like Honor Huff did after the game, calling him the best player in the country. Yeah, man, walk around like you're the best player in the country. We'll support you. And at the end of the day, when you don't play well, we'll talk about it. Doesn't mean we don't support you. It just means that I like to do. I mean, look, I did with every player I've ever covered personally. When they play well, I praise them. When they don't, I mention it. But it doesn't mean that's the entire story either way. Today, the story is Trey Eaglestaff was the best player on the floor for a large portion of the game. Obviously, Honor Huff, I hate that I haven't mentioned him until now. What an amazing game from him. Almost tying the record for threes in a game, going 8 for 11 from the field from three is incredible. What an incredible performance. I think they said he was one away from Alex Ruoff's record to tie it. I don't know, Raven, why they won't let him. I don't know if it's necessarily letting him tie it or not, but maybe they just don't want it to be all about that, right? Maybe they don't want it to be all about the records and breaking records, and maybe they want it to be get somebody more. You don't want to just break a record for the sake of breaking it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's just my initial thought on it, but because if you make it about records, then you're kind of pointing at the team in the wrong direction. Maybe is Ross Hodges' thought. I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes. The record doesn't matter that much. He's probably going to lead the country in threes again. He's tied right now on the first in the country. So as of right now, Honor is obviously carrying his weight, although he's gone cold in some games when we really needed him to hit. Can't be all on him. That's the thing. And unfortunately, we've needed him to be as hot as he was tonight in a couple games this year, and that did not happen. By the way, BYU just beat Clemson on a buzzer beater. So that lets you know how good Clemson is. BYU's a top 10 team. Today, Clemson and was up on BYU, and BYU hit a game winner. So what a crazy game for Clemson there, but what a big win that could have been for West Virginia. It's unfortunate that we up 12 points and blew that lead. Other than the two guys that we spoke about, Trey Eaglestaff had 23 points, Honor Huff had 24 points. It was Chance Moore on a 4 for 8, 50% field goal percentage day, 12 points in only 15 minutes. So if you look at this from a minutes perspective outside of Huff, everybody played lower minutes. So this was kind of like a game where you rested your guys a little bit. You didn't have to play a ton of minutes for anybody. DJ Thomas played in 18 minutes. It was nice to see him play a little more. Jackson Fields played 19 minutes. Amir Jenkins played 18 minutes. I thought he played well with a little bit of, couple shots he threw up. And look, Jaden Forsyth hit another three I'm wondering, man, when is he going to get on the floor and play a little more? I would personally like to see that, but I understand that there are probably reasons why he's not on the floor. Jasper Floyd, he another kind of off game for him in a game where he had a lot of assists, but man, those turnovers, man, he's had a rough couple games with turnovers, and I just wonder what's going on there. Teams are kind of doubling him off ball screens and different things. You just wonder where or how or what that's going to do for him going forward. Hopefully he can get past this, but seems like the book may be out on him. Let's go on break here. Come back and we'll talk a little bit more about the game before we go to bed. Be right back. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at, where are we at today? We're at Omaha Steaks. Of course, we always remember our friends at Omaha Steaks. With Omaha Steaks right now, guys, holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you want handled both in one move, Omaha Steaks is the way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door. Right now, with their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in a huge way. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even easier. Locked On College listeners get an extra $35 off with code COLLEGE at checkout. I've been sent steaks as gifts before, and the reaction is usually always the same: the best gift ever. Steaks are perfectly aged and insanely tender. It's restaurant quality at home, really. Save big on gourmet steaks or gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com. And don't forget to use the code COLLEGE. All right, guys, we are back here in segment 2. Thank you guys for joining in here as we dive into another segment here for Locked On West Virginia basketball. The West Virginia Mountaineers basketball team played a good game tonight. We're proud of them. At the end of the day, man, it's all about winning, as we like to say. And tonight was the game the Mountaineers won. You can't really say much more than that, right? So proud of our guys. Hopefully they continue to do this, do big things. I'm really hoping so. Obviously, it's a big game coming up against Ohio State, the Suckeyes. Hopefully they play well against them, who they look good tonight. I think they lost by 2 points or they were down. They didn't lose. They're only down. They were, last I looked, they were only down to a really good team. So yeah, hopefully we can get this win. We need the non-conference win. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get this thing's label to go away, and my freaking mouse, I don't know why it does this. It just won't scroll up sometimes, so I can't get it to go away. Oh well. Somebody's talking about Raven in the chat. I want to make sure she's okay. So is there a reason she hasn't been in the chat in a couple? I noticed she hadn't been in as many, but I wasn't paying attention. It won't let me scroll up anything for some reason. I don't know why it gets frozen sometimes. Anyways, back to some West Virginia basketball talk for a minute. So, obviously, guys, the game coming up against Ohio State's a big one. I just think that it's a must-win game. I really do believe that. Unless you're going to win a bunch of conference games, this is a game you're going to have to get. And it's in Cleveland. So it's basically what you call a semi-home court advantage for them in Rocket Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. I think it's going to be – let me make sure. I think it's Saturday. Let's see. Saturday at 8 o'clock, December 13th. So it's going to be a night game. Cleveland is going to be it's going to be an interesting game. So we'll see what happens there. We'll obviously preview the game. try to do something maybe with Locked On Buckeyes. Since they are playing pretty well right now in basketball. But other than that, guys, I don't have a whole lot else on this postcast. Just wanted to get on here and talk about, for the most part, I just wanted to get on here and talk about the shots that West Virginia took tonight were great. Obviously, Trey Eaglestaff looked great. Honor Hupp looked great. A couple other guys looked pretty good. But it's really all about what Trey said after the game. If you haven't had a chance to go see it, go watch the replay on ESPN. Fast forward it to the end and watch the post-game interview where Trey said he'd been letting comments get to him, maybe online comments. I'm not really sure. But it perked my ears up because that's, it was obvious to me he was in his head on the floor. That validated it. So I'll be watching it very, very much more here going forward. All right, guys. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. We'll be back in the morning, obviously, as always, with more Locked On West Virginia content. Guys, if you didn't know, we have a new thing called the Everydayers Club. I need to get you guys in on this. The Everydayers Club. So as you make Locked On West Virginia your first listen of the day, we also want to thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And you already live your team every day, right? If you want to take it up a level and go ad-free, you can join the Everydayer Club and get Locked On West Virginia with no interruptions. Members only. It'll be Discord access, like I have a Discord account already, but it'll be a different one for Locked On West Virginia and more. It's $5 a month or $50 a year. So I'm going to give you a URL for this, and what you'll do is you'll check the link in the show notes to learn more. So I'll put it in the show notes next time. So, like I said, thanks for making us your first listen and for making us the Locked On One Podcast Network. So we want you to be a true diehard fan, and we will do our best to get you the link to this show. Let me get it. Let's see. All right. Should be. So I don't know exactly which one we are here, but it took me a minute to get to it earlier. I'm going to get this URL for you guys to be able to go to. Let's see. College. Switch it to college really quick. That'll help a lot. Oh, gosh. All right. So we're going to get Locked On West Virginia here. We're on page 2, of course. Can't just be at the bottom of this one. All right, there it is. Okay, so let me get this this link for you guys. Give me 1 second, y'all. Copying. All right, got it. Finally. Sorry, I know it's a little bit of a headache for me to wait. So that is the link, lockedonwestvirginia.supercast.com. So it's lockedonwestvirginia.supercast.com. If you go to that link right there, it should take you there. And if you want to be an everydayer, then no ads or anything, that's the spot to do it. Other than that, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't think we have much going on, so I'll come up with some content for you guys. We'll look in the portal. We'll see what's going on. We got a couple other things we can talk about as well. It won't be too long. We'll have the portal will be open and things will be going crazy. I'm sure we'll have West Virginia guys going in, a couple more as they trim the fat off this roster. Yeah, Jordan Harrison's done 1,000 points. That's another big thing that happened today. Thanks for reminding me. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for making this your first listen. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to cue those country roads, and we're out of here.